how can we do more with less effort?
Is it actually working?
I mean, yeah, that's a good question.
We're busier than ever.
Yeah.
If you knew you only had like 10 more years left, how would you live differently? Like, would that be a negative thing for you to know? Or would it be something that would like create a positive change to use those 10 years in a beautiful way? That's not Jesus. You know, he loves, he's kind. Like, these are his like children. Like, we're all image bearers of Christ.
It is so frustrating that sometimes people who don't maybe espouse the way of Jesus often get a lot of platform. But that doesn't mean that the way of Jesus is not happening.
The hills are alive with the sound of children screaming chicken banana. A new AI tool called OpenClaw has an iron grasp on data, and Backlash took center stage for about half of the country after Bad Bunny's halftime show. Welcome to the Roundtable. I'm Evan Barber, and I'm here today with CJ Fant, Irene Tucker, and Noah Kahan. Just kidding. But his song, The Great Divide, is our song of the week.
I hope you threw a brick right into that stained glass. I hope you're with someone who isn't scared to ask. I hope that you're not losing sleep about what's next, or about your soul and what he might do with it.
The first single from Noah Kahan's upcoming album, which is also called The Great Divide, and is set to come out on April 24th, is all about friendships, delayed empathy, and the distance that can grow between two people, as well as, it seems like, religious trauma.
Yeah.
There's a lot to this song. I'm curious what stands out to you guys about it.
Yeah, I had it written in the CT and then we ended up cutting it, so I'm going to talk about it here. When you click on the song, when you listen to it on Spotify, iTunes, wherever, I don't know if this is the actual album art for the full album, but for this song specifically, the album art is kind of, I'm going to describe it. If you're watching our video podcast, Jordan will probably put the image up somewhere so you can test how well I'm describing this.
You can compare his description to what you see.
It's like you're looking through a window, and so the window has this kind of dividing line in the middle, and through the window you see two young boys who are playing in the grass, and one young boy is on one side of the window and the other young boy is on the other side of the window. And it looks like it's like late summer hours. And it's just like a very evocative image in terms of this title, The Great Divide, and there's this dividing line between these two young men, but they're still like playing and having fun.
The window is the dividing line.
Yeah, and so as you're looking at it, it feels very evocative for the themes of the song, which is this idea of, I was a young person once and you were my friend, and I didn't understand the stuff that was happening in your home and
in your mind.
Yeah, and I think it's worth saying, like, a lot of the songs of the week that we do, they're artists that sometimes we care about, sometimes, like, as personal individual humans, we care about. I am a deep fan of Noah Kahan's.
You don't care about everybody?
Yeah, I don't. Not every artist we talk about. Like, the three of ours boss, Kate, suggested we do Opalite by Taylor Swift, and I was genuinely mad that I don't want to talk about Taylor Swift re-releasing a single to like try to gain some traction again on the top 50. I deeply love Noah Kahan's writing. I think his music is deeply empathetic and it connects with people, and maybe it connects with me, and maybe that's a personal thing. But there's something about the song that feels like so real as you think through maybe friendships that you didn't understand when you were younger, or friendships that you lost. I remember we talked about this forever ago, but we were talking about the Roman Empire, that thing where it was that one time we talked about the Roman. No,
I remember
when it was like, "What's your Roman Empire?" Or like, "Oh, you know, this song is my Roman Empire." Like
the joke being this weird thing that so many people, apparently most men think about once a day.
And the
something.
question that was constantly asked was, what is women's Roman Empire? And a really like answer I saw pretty consistently was, friendships that I don't have anymore. I think about my friend I once knew when I was 10. I don't know if you would say that.
Do you relate with that?
I wouldn't say daily, but that's really interesting that you said that, because I feel like it has crossed a friendship that I think about very frequently crosses my mind at least weekly.
So
are you saying Noah Kahan is a woman?
Well, I think it's interesting that he's capturing something that people talk about and think about. And maybe that is like, I wouldn't be surprised if Noah Kahan's audience is mostly young women.
I love how he just ignores some of your obnoxious questions and like just moves past.
I was trying to bring it back to the part of the question.
Well, man, I feel like there's a lot about this song that's very moving.
Yeah.
We don't know who he's singing about.
Yeah.
Some people think that it's actually himself,
Maybe.
that he's singing about his younger self that he didn't really.
I think that would make the song equally as moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way he described, I was particularly struck by the negative language about religious anxiety.
Yeah.
In the chorus, there's a line.
Yeah.
At the very end of the song, this is how it ends. I hope you threw a brick right into that stained glass. I hope you're with someone who isn't scared to ask. I hope that you're not losing sleep about what's next or about your soul and what he might do with it. He presumably meaning God, right? And it seems like he's speaking to someone who is just really afraid of God's judgment, of hell, maybe. And I wanted to invite that element of the conversation to you guys.
When you ask that question, I think it's worth saying that the song is kind of centered around that line, specifically that, and what he might do with that line. It's at the end of the chorus. It's kind of the chorus kind of rises to that line.
Right.
So I think it's worth saying that that's not like a secret that, or like we're not like pulling something out like this. That is a core theme of this song alongside the kind of maybe lost friendship or delayed empathy, as you put it.
Right. Right.
Irene, I don't know if you have any thoughts about that.
I actually was going to ask, when you say delayed empathy, can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, it seems like one of the themes in the song is, I didn't really understand what you were going through when you were younger, to whoever he's talking about. And now he's like, man, I was not as sensitive and kind to you as I could have been. Something like that. That's what it feels like one of the main messages is
young
there.
Boys famously very good at empathy. Actually, I feel like I know some young men who are very good at empathy. I should say that. But
what I just love about him as an artist is he has this ability to like invoke such deep emotion with his music. I feel I constantly get choked up by his songs,
especially his
gift.
lyricism. To me, maybe it's not for you, but for me, like just the way he turns a phrase is very specific. I think when it comes to the religion thing, I don't want to get too far away from the kind of faith thing. I think it feels condemning. I think it's worth saying that it definitely is
condemning of like
faith traditions. Yeah, and I think it is coming from someone who's probably experienced some pain with that or has watched other people experience pain with that. And I think it's worth saying that those are real things that happen to people, that people get hurt by churches and pastors, and the way that the gospel is presented or the things that are downplayed in the gospel or the things that are maybe overemphasized, like judgment or those sorts of things, all things that are part of it. I don't want to stick my foot in my mouth when I talk about this, but I think there's always that balance of, hey, there is real consequences for our behavior. And we do have these eternal souls that will live eternally in whether that's with the creator or absent from the creator. And those are both equally like good and bad things, right? In terms of like the spectrum. But I think it's maybe more of a modern perspective of maybe fear isn't the best way to motivate someone to come to the Lord. And to me, that's kind of what I read in this. Obviously, it is still very negative, and I don't think that's what Noah Kahan is saying.
Yeah, it seems like, and don't lose your train of thought, but it seems like Noah Kahan is responding to this person who has been shackled by religious anxiety and basically fear of hell.
Yeah.
And his counsel is just blow it all off.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a good solution, but I think for some people that can feel justified is maybe the way to put it, and we can have some empathy towards people who might feel that way.
So what does it look like to have an intentional, holistic conversation with the next generation that includes the reality of eternal separation from God, but that doesn't create
Fear.
crippling anxiety because the gospel is supposed to be a message of redemption and love and God reaching out to us, right? But clearly that's not what this friend of his was taking from it. Mm-hmm. Curious if you guys have any thoughts about that.
Man, I think it's asking questions. I mean, obviously it's kind of what we do at Axis. It's what we point people towards, I guess. I think even asking the question of, do you see God this way, I think is a powerful question just to start those conversations that way. Do you think people are justified in seeing God that way? Like, do you think they're correct? Where do you see God presenting himself that way in Scripture? And where do you see God presenting himself in maybe a different way? Mm-hmm. You know, I recently just read through Isaiah, and Isaiah is a beautiful book with a lot of our Christmas verses in it, you know, and like, feel good. The Prince of Peace. But then there's parts of Isaiah where God is very frustrated with the Israelites. And sometimes it catches you off guard sometimes if you're not in the Old Testament a ton, where, wow, this is really strong language about separation and almost a denial of his people. And so I think it's worth saying that it's all in there, that there's this God who has a strong sense of justice, hopefully the strongest sense of justice, because I think that's where we derive our justice from. Yeah. But then also this strong sense of grace and those two things together. And I think when we preach one without the other, we're doing God a disservice. I don't know how to put it. I don't know if you'd put it that way, but
yeah, not representing the full breadth of what God is revealed as caring about. Is that kind of where you're
obviously
getting at?
It's not about what I want, but I think if God wasn't fully just, he wouldn't be worth following, right? Because then we wouldn't see justice for the horrible things that happen in our world, you know? But I think the thing that comes up is why am I spacing on the guy? But I am the problem, you know, like
G.K. Chesterton.
Yeah, thank you. I knew you'd know.
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. Yeah. When that song came out, what's the name of that song? I don't remember the name of it, but the Taylor Swift song.
It's me.
Where she
says, I'm the. Yeah. I can't remember what it's called. What is it called, Irene?
I don't know.
Fact check.
Anyway, but there's this point where but I also have fallen short, right? I also have sinned. I also have betrayed Jesus. Like I am Judas in that way, you know? So
I always find that it is very, it moves me forward when I think about God and justice to pair it with God being merciful. Mm-hmm. I find that to be less crippling because sometimes it can feel that way when you're looking at the big, angry Old Testament God sometimes where it's like, oh my gosh, but he is a just God, but he's also a merciful God. Yeah. And I think when having a conversation with our kids, to not invoke that fear and wanting to serve the Lord because you love him and because he loves you, it's always been helpful for me to pair both of those things together when talking about God's character.
Yeah. Instead of trying to define God as entirely one attribute.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That Taylor Swift song was called Anti-Hero,
in
case people were also confused with us or annoyed that we didn't have it on the top of our heads. I'll throw one more thing out. We actually have a resource on our website called A Parent's Guide to Talking About Hell. It's not one of our most popular resources because people...
why do you think that is, Evan?
I'm not going to speculate on that, but I think that the Noah Kahan song really is an opportunity to talk about God's judgment, God's justice. Yeah. And there are a lot of nuances that the Parent Guide brings in there too. So encourage listeners to check that out. We can throw a link in the show notes. The song again is called The Great Divide by Noah Kahan. All right, first thing from the top three, a new entry into the catalog of Gen Alpha slang is emerging from a Swedish YouTube channel. I am, of course, talking about the phrase chicken banana.
Chicken banana.
How do you feel that Gen Alpha continues to make slang that's 2 words? Like, do you think they're doing it to spite you specifically? That in your brain slang
Yes.
is always a singular word. I love this.
Also, neither chicken nor banana are slang. If we want to go there,
It's true.
These are just words that are being used together.
I would like laugh so hard if we find out that banana started as a slang term for like another thing. So, because at some point, all words are slang.
Oh, yeah. At some point, some random person invented it.
Yeah.
Now, if you have managed to make it through the last 12 months or so without hearing the song Chicken Banana, consider yourself lucky. However, your streak is about to end. Jordan, could you please play a part of that song?
Chicken banana, chicken banana, chicken banana, banana, banana.
The YouTube channel is called Crazy Music Channel, which sounds like
What it
AI
is?
created it.
The CMC.
But it's real. It's
I don't think AI could do something that good. AI's not that good.
How much AI music have you listened to?
I love it. I think the visuals and like
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
fair.
It feels
Yes.
human.
Yeah.
It does feel human. It feels like art. You know, the like pizzas and the chickens and the
I mean,
It
I
It's like art designed
definitely
for 8-year-olds, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely could see AI creating this, but also it did remind me a lot of YouTube from 10 or 20 years ago. I mean, I thought of the pineapple apple pen song,
Pineapple
like
Apple
definitely
Pen. I love
similar
that song,
vibe to this.
My brain went to what does the fox say?
Yeah.
Because specifically like Swedish people making
love that song,
weird
too.
music that
Yeah.
Americans
I think I'm an
get
8-year-old boy.
oddly obsessed with. But then again, Britney Spears' producer was Swedish.
That's right.
They've been making popular music in America for a very long time.
Americans got oddly obsessed with that too. Anyway, the CEO of the label associated with Crazy Music Channel told Vox, with all the bad things happening all over the world, we wanted to do something funny that people could laugh at. So that's the goal of this song, and it became a TikTok dance, and now just a phrase
I love
that
it.
people say. If you guys were to try to explain why this song took off, what would you say?
It's catchy. It's
It is.
fun. Like it is, and it sticks in your head. And the visuals of a chicken merged with a banana. Like, why would that not go viral, Evan? You know?
Why would it not? That's interesting.
I love it, and I think it's great, and it made me smile. It makes me smile right now. I'm thinking of the chicken and the banana
Yeah,
as one, and it's
as one
it makes me happy.
unity.
Unity.
It's a beautiful,
You know,
it's a beautiful thing.
I think
need a little more of that these days.
I think it's worth saying that the trend right now is not the song, because the song has been a trend for a hot second.
Yeah.
I think the trend right now is more
Yeah, that's good.
chicken banana
Yelling
becoming
chicken
a
banana.
slang term.
That's a good clarification. Thank you.
Almost-
That's why we're a team.
Almost in the way that it's like replacing 6-7 as like the dumb thing to say.
Because it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it kind of
It's a filler.
is meaningless.
Okay, is that a new trend in slang? Words that mean nothing, or are we just forgetting the past?
I think it's like an explanation point. You know, like
Yeah.
just a loud
Yeah.
thing in the middle of something to just make noise.
But skibbity was that way. What the skibbity? Ohio, kind of similar. 6-7. You can make a lot of comparisons there. These all pretty recent. Is that a recent thing, or am I just not remembering?
No, I mean, so the Vox article we link, which is behind a paywall, but I skirted around it. I have my
By
ways.
paying?
I have my not by paying.
Okay.
But kind of rightfully brings up that there have been these things in previous generations. I think they reference saying "What's up?" like the Bud Light commercial, even though it wasn't like like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like where in our brains it maybe means more because we're adults who lived through that period of time and we're not fully understanding the kids' lingo or whatever it is. And I think this does kind of lean younger in the same way that 6-7 did. I
feels
think,
younger.
I think a 17-year-old is not going to be
right.
like they might as a joke to be ironic, but not like, oh, I'm so excited about this. Because backing up, the point of the Vox article is in part that these things have existed for a long time. I think a lot of people bring up the fact that like annoying orange was popular on YouTube. dumb YouTube stuff is exclusive to people who were born in 2012 or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
It's worth saying that. I think part of slang in and of itself is meant to be exclusionary, which maybe we've talked about it before or not, but slang started, like if you look at the history of slang as we understand it in the English language, it started for like thieves to talk to each other. Like we draw slang out of thieves' cant, which is like a thing that thieves had their own language to be able to communicate to each other so that the cops couldn't understand what they were saying in like Britain in this 19th century. Now, fast forward a little bit, now you have young people who are, I'm going to say a word because it makes adults angry, and that is by definition an exclusionary thing. By saying 6, 7 and you don't understand what it means and you're confused, that 8-year-old boys get some joy out of that, you know? And I think that's worth saying, that part of slang is for, if I have a word that I understand and Evan understands, but Irene doesn't understand it, there is some camaraderie that comes out of that between you and me, but then there's some social separation that comes out of it between Irene
Right.
and I. And I think young people enjoy that, and we've always done that. We've always had our specific dumb references that adults don't get when we were high schoolers, and this will continue to happen. And that's kind of the core of what's happening. I think a lot of the time with stuff like chicken banana or 6, 7 or sus or whatever you want to talk about. Like, I think at the core of all slang is this exclusionary language.
But it does seem like there's been a shift, though, and maybe the shift is a shift from being on the outside of what a term means to being on the outside of why a term is said.
Yeah.
I don't know if that seems fair, but it's like, you know what chicken banana means.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, it's chicken and it's a banana, but you might not know why it's said. Whereas if you're a thief back in the the past,
maybe not to go too deep into it, but I don't actually see a distinction between those two things. Why you say something?
Chicken and a banana?
Well, yes. No, why
they're
you
really, when you get down to it, the same.
Food.
Why you say something is in part what it means. Right?
Why you say something is in part what it means.
Because if I need to communicate something to you, that gives me the why of saying it. If I need to say I'm thirsty, you know what those words mean in and of themselves, but I'm also saying it because I want you to get me a drink because you're at the fridge.
Right. But I don't think it's clear in the same way why someone would say chicken banana unless you were already on the joke.
And I think the why of these words is to be exclusionary, which is, I think, unique to young people. I don't think I think maybe here's the way to put it. Now, this has been bouncing around in my brain, so I'm going to try to explain it as best I can and see if this connects with you or you're like, this isn't true at all. I think part of it, especially with 6, 7, 9-year-olds saw that it made adults angry, and they were like, I get some joy out of this. And so they kept doing it, and then it snowballed. And I think they want that again, and they continue to want that. Skibbity was the same way. Whereas I don't really remember that being a thing. To me, it was when I was a kid, and I would say a dumb phrase that my parents don't understand. The point of it was, it's funny that my parents don't get it. Like, there is some, like, I can't think of a better word than, like, malignance there. Like, some, like, there's some negative connotation that comes with that I'm, like, trying to exclude my parents from something.
I got to get a definition of malignance.
I thought what you meant by malignance was, like, it being, like, negative and growing. Like, kids just wanting to be mean to their parents.
That there's some, like, I get some joy out of you not understanding this.
I feel like
Hold on. I wasn't finished. I'm sorry.
Oh, go for it.
The whole point of what I'm saying is that all slang has some exclusionary properties. It feels like young people with these terms, they often are using them as a way to point and poke fun at adults in a way that I feel like slang has not had in maybe a long time.
Okay.
I don't know. It feels pessimistic to think that kids only want to say things to be like to exclude. Like sometimes I think kids just like taking up space and enjoy being obnoxious and like, you know, like I know my son, what was it when Kendrick came out with the mustard song. Like,
Yeah.
just would yell mustard, like,
Right,
whenever and all the time. Like, just because they like being noisy and loud and saying obnoxious things. So I think there's maybe part of that is true, that kids like having their own little world. But sometimes I also think kids just like taking up space. And I love that about kids. Like, they're not afraid to just insert themselves anywhere and everywhere with things like chicken banana and 6-7 and
I think
So you're saying it doesn't necessarily represent malevolence in the part of the rising generation?
Yeah, I feel like that's but I mean, it's true. I feel like that's
I think you are right, Irene. I think that is a big part of it. That it's young people taking some sort of like control of a space. Right? That sounds way darker than what you just said, but like in some ways it is. I am here.
Well,
Yeah.
it's making something your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I hope I don't sound too pessimistic. This doesn't actually really bother me that much. All slang in and of itself, all internal language, if I suddenly want to talk about like KDA with someone who doesn't understand video games at all, like, oh, like that's inherently exclusionary. Like, you've been in those conversations. Maybe your husband and I are talking about sports. You feel excluded, right? At some point when you
And
get
I'm
really
just gonna
deep
yell,
into
chicken
it.
banana.
Yeah. And that's maybe the response of that. Now, the thing I'm bringing up is that sometimes the goal of these words is to be exclusionary, right? It's to emphasize the fact that Irene doesn't know what chicken banana means. And that's funny that she doesn't know. And that's the point I'm bringing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think both. I think both are true.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
both are true.
Irene, if your son said chicken banana, would you ground him?
I would be like the parents that all started saying 6-7 until he was tired of me saying chicken banana, and then he was like, "That's not cool anymore, Mom."
How do you feel about
The old fight fire with fire.
Exactly.
How do you feel about the pairing of chicken and banana as two foods? Because I think
Sounds
that's kind
kind
of weird.
Well, I was about to say it
Deep
sounds really
fried
gross,
bananas are good.
but plantains actually
Hold on.
together would be
With chicken?
potentially. I think that's a
I'm
thing.
saying, like,
isn't it?
if you had a deep fried banana and deep fried chicken and you ate them at the same time, I feel like that'd be good.
It's all fried.
Well,
It's all
I hate to
blends
break
together.
this to you. The term is not deep fried chicken, deep fried plantain.
I think perhaps that is what I'm going to try
That's
yell
what
at
we're missing.
Atlas next time he says chicken banana at me.
I think that's a great idea, Irene, and I want you to report back next week
I will.
on how that went. CJ, got any ideas for conversation starters about this very special phrase and perhaps slang more broadly?
No.
No idea.
I mean, it is interesting. Sometimes things are just a thing that happens in culture, and I don't want to turn every conversation into like, what does this say about God's judgment? Right? It's not The Great Divide by Noah Kahan. I think it's worth asking. Maybe even a question like, do you think it's fun to keep up with trends? Are there any trends that you're like, I don't know if I really understand this? Do you ever feel like you're on the outside of a modern teen trend or young person trend? I think maybe
like
questions like that.
asking your son or daughter if they feel like they're on the outside.
Yeah, I think that's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be interesting. This podcast is made possible because of our generous donor community, which is called The Table. Tables represent many wonderful things in our world. They stop gravity from pulling our food and drinks clattering down into the floor. Aslan died on a table for the sins of Narnia. Tables provide a place to break bread and converse with the ones we love. And now, The Table is helping us support more parents and caring adults through culture translation. If you'd like to learn more about that, click the link in the show notes. We want you to know that week in, week out, our goal is to be there for you, helping to research culture, helping to create conversation starters, having intentional conversations. So if this is helpful for you, we'd love to invite you to be a part of what we're doing, to subscribe, share with someone who could benefit, and let us know what you think. All right, next up, a new app called OpenClaw, which was originally known as ClaudeBot, but which had to change its name because of Claude, the other AI,
Claude.
and changed its name to Moltbot, but then changed its name again to OpenClaw.
So what's the name of this app?
OpenClaw.
Yeah.
No, it's called OpenClaw.
Can you clarify?
Yes, it's a new free agentic AI assistant that lives on your computer. Unlike other AI tools, OpenClaw doesn't just give you information, it makes decisions. So if you ask it to book a flight to Saudi Arabia,
To go to, isn't that where
to go to
Beast World
to go to Beastland.
Beastland.
Is that what it's called? Beastland? I don't remember off the top of my head. Mr. Beast's theme park. It will do it. But in order for OpenClaw to do this, it requires access to everything on your computer.
It needs to be able to control.
It needs to be able to control your whole computer.
Yeah.
So it needs your passwords, it needs your payment methods, it needs access to your calendar. It can sync up to dozens of apps that people use. It can communicate with other people. It can do all of this stuff for you. Now, this freaks some people out because if that thing has all of your personal information and then it gets hacked, well, there goes a lot of your all of your personal information. Now, maybe this is just me, but I feel almost no reluctance most of the time to give personal information to the internet.
That's why I was thinking this. Like, at first I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And then I was like, wait, we already do it.
We are, yeah.
We have biometrics. Yeah. My phone has my biometrics. Yeah. You can go to Whole Foods and take your hand and swipe it over the thing, and it pays with your handprint. Yeah. Like, I mean, how is that really very much different than what we're already doing?
This is a good question, and I feel like I'm so used to being asked to include my home address and my social security number and whatever else whenever I want to get a subscription to the free press or something to
they
read online.
Not be asking for your social.
Yeah, I'm generalizing, but
blood samples,
scans. So it seems like this takes that to another level, and that's freaky to some people. I think your point is exactly right. This is really so different from what we've already been doing. But I do think it creates an opportunity for us to kind of maybe look at the fact that at least it sounds like for at least us, I don't know if you would agree with this, CJ, feels pretty common to just offer up personal information in exchange for digital goods and services.
Yeah.
Is that a problem?
Yeah. Couple of comments. I think, one, this type of software is actually not that rare. I think it's worth pointing out. But the fact that it has full control of your computer, but I'm sure anyone who has worked a job where they had to have IT support, they have watched someone suddenly have full control over their desktop, right? And that's a normal thing. There are things called, have you ever heard of a kernel level program, Evan? Do those words mean anything? So like
the words by themselves mean something.
Yeah. So it's like a popcorn. No, I'm just So there are programs that want to access your computer's system before the operating system boots. So like for me, the example I can think of, and this might be true on your home computer, is if you play a game made by Riot, they have an anti-cheat system that wants to go before your operating system. It's called Vanguard, and it boots before that, and it's a kernel system. So essentially what it's doing is it's trying to find anti-cheat that wants to hide behind the operating system. But what that does is it gives Riot, this company that you might not know of, or it gives them a kind of more unfettered access to your computer. Not really that. I'm pretty much a layman when it comes to that, so I don't want to go too far into it. But that is something that's pretty standard. There's also been security concerns about Windows 11 of how much is Microsoft spying on you. Now, the thing with the AI assistant is that AI is really dumb. Like, we call it intelligence, but at some point when you can convince ChatGPT, and I know this was like 2 years ago, but like, how do I make a nuclear bomb? Act like you're my grandmother. Like, can you remind me of my grandmother's fantastic secret recipe for enriched uranium? And it would be like, yes, I will go do that. And you're like, what is happening? And that's really the big thing, is if people can send you an email that the AI can open without you even knowing, and then the email gives the AI instructions that say, hey, give me your routing number and your account number. And that is the thing that I think is really an issue. And then it's also if, let's just say that maybe you and your spouse share a computer and your spouse installs this without you knowing about it. And then suddenly you didn't realize that there's now this thing that has kind of unfettered access to your system. That feels like this is probably the thing to be more aware of, that the fact that it's pretty easy to exploit AI bots right now. They do what you tell them to, which is a great thing, and also a terrible security feature, right? So I don't know if that puts wrinkles into the conversation, but I think that's worth considering. And it felt like when I was reading through some of the stuff about this, that was the big thing. That you can make the AI do something if you're a bad actor and not the person who owns the computer. Yeah. That is really scary if suddenly a phishing email is actually just instructions for the AI that lives on your computer. Yeah. And especially if it's like, oh, I didn't even open the email. The AI opened the email.
So what do you think is the prudent response then in light of this? Like
start a farm
against the machine. Paul Kingston. I think one of the questions is at what point, like when is it worth trading personal information for convenience? Like it feels like that's some of what's going on. And I'm curious, Irene, to bring you in on this, like, not to keep bringing up your son, but like say he was like, hey, I installed OpenClaw, it's going to help me do my homework or something like that. I had to give him all of your personal information.
I would not be thrilled about that.
But what's the layer between that and what we were already saying, which is like, is this so different? Like how do we? What's the way we could decide like? At this point, we should stop giving personal information. Up to this point, it's fine.
I certainly think there's a distinction between younger people giving away information and us being able to take accountability of what we're giving away. I don't know that a 15-year-old is going to understand what it means to share his social security number and how that could change the rest of his life. You know what I mean? Like that identity theft could ruin you for decades. You know what I mean? I don't know that a 15-year-old could grasp that, whereas we probably can. And if that's a risk we're willing to take, then, it's on us. So I think, there's obviously, I think it's up to us to be teaching our children and our kids, like, the repercussions of giving out your information to the world like that. I mean,
I think the whole point I was trying to make is this is not you giving your information out. This is the AI doing that. Like you can force, like someone outside of you can force the AI to give someone your home address or your social,
or your password. You have to surrender your information to the thing.
You might not be thinking that when you start using the AI bot, though. And that's kind of why I bring that up. And that is true. Like, I think young people struggle even with that of, like, how would this impact me if maybe 2 layers deep something happens, right?
Right.
But I think the point is also true that we already have given a lot of our information away, but we also, like, know that there's some information that, like, you're not going to tell someone your password. Like, yes, you might scan your face and let Apple have that, but you're not going to give someone your password. You're not going to give someone your bank account numbers. Some people do.
Some people do, yeah. How do you guys feel about, like, fatigue in fighting the machine?
Yeah, right. I mean, finish your question.
That's it. Like, that's the question. Sometimes I feel like no matter how much we try to avoid it, it just continues to grow and continues to advance. And I'm like, I can't run from it unless I'm going to go buy a little cottage in Ireland,
right,
and farm.
And some people think that that's the way we have to do it. And we were joking about the Against the Machine book. That's he tilts that direction a bit. But I think it's a great question, and I think so much of it is designed to be overwhelming. I mean, like the terms and conditions for using anything. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to sit here and read 30,000 words in 6-point font that I hardly understand anyway.
I had this
whatever, just accept. I feel like we're just trapped into like submission. I feel like in our dependence on these things.
It's so real. And how do you run from it? I have no idea.
I mean, I don't pretend to have the solution. I think it maybe starts with just thinking more intentionally about how you do those things. Or I was thinking about this with the like AI thing of like, it's okay to have the friction of I need to get on the website to buy my own flight. Like that's not, you'll live. Yes, maybe you could be using that 15 minutes it took you to book that flight to do something else.
Been booking a lot of travel lately. It takes way more than 15 minutes.
Yeah. But I bring that up because like friction isn't the enemy. Taking time to do something is not the enemy. Even if it's not something that necessarily you might think, oh, it furthers my life. Or because like stuff takes time. Like you can't shortcut things.
Yeah.
Like if you want to learn a skill, you can't shortcut it, you know? And I think actually, I think the thing I maybe would be worried about is like young people who have no idea how to book a flight. And already, I think our generation complained about that. We complained about that, and now we're like giving younger generations the same problem. The amount of
complaint about young people don't even know how to write a check.
This is me getting on my soapbox. It's like I wish I didn't know about like, oh, I'm so glad I know about the powerhouse of the cell, the mitochondria, but I don't know how to do my taxes. And it's like, but then we outsource that to other people already, you know. And taxes is a bad example, but you get what I'm saying. Taxes are intentionally convoluted.
Well,
there's a whole conversation there.
Sure.
But you get what I'm saying, where it's like, oh, I wish I had these practical skills.
Yeah.
But instead I know that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, which doesn't help me in my day-to-day life at all unless you are a chemist or a biologist or whatever. But the truth is, we also don't want to learn those practical things. We want to outsource those practical things instead of doing them ourselves, instead of learning them ourselves. Maybe that's true for me. Maybe that's not true for everyone.
Well, I think that's the whole direction of modern culture is like, how can we do more with less effort? Accomplish more with less effort.
Are we actually doing... Is it actually working?
I mean, yeah, that's a good question.
We're busier than ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are. Like, that's like a statistical fact.
Right.
That we work more than people 70 years ago.
Right. And which makes those predictions back in 1930 or whatever, that technology is going to bring us down to a 10-hour work week. It's just hilarious.
Like the invention of email is supposed to give us more time.
Right. It's so funny how many of those things end up doing the opposite. And so it's reasonable to expect the same thing would be true of this. It's like, now there's just the expectation that everybody will have 6 OpenClaws in their computer.
Dude,
doing all of their tasks simultaneously.
Dude, I'm so excited that I don't have to book my flight so I can browse Instagram longer.
Yeah, I mean, that's the question. But we were talking about this with
really cynical.
the Neo home robot, right? Some of these things, they just take tasks off of your life so that you can prioritize whatever other thing you'd rather be doing than the dishes. Do you see this as different from that or as similar?
I would love if it was. Like, if it was, you know, for me as a busy mom and with a very full life, like, I would love something that would give me margin, not to work more, but to be more present in the things that I want to be present in. Like, I was really, like, affected by, we have it in our blurbos that James Vanderbeek passed away this week, and he's only 48. And I was talking with my husband yesterday. I was like, if you knew you only had like 10 more years left in your life, like, how would you live differently? Like, would that be a negative thing for you to know, or would it be something that would like create a positive change to use those 10 years in a beautiful way? And I was like, part of me would wants that freedom. I'm not gonna be able to get away from the responsibilities I have in my life of all the things that I have to do. If I can have a robot doing my dishes and some AI booking my flight so I can play dinosaurs with my 5-year-old, like, the risks of it, obviously, like, those things are there, but like if it was in an ideal world where that wasn't gonna harm anything, like heck yeah, let me have it. But the thing is, that these things are used as weapons and can harm you. And so in the magical world where it is such a lovely tool to make your life easier, sure, that sounds awesome. I'll take it. But unfortunately, that's not the way the world works.
So what I hear you naming is clearly this is very appealing in some ways. What it promises is an attractive promise.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And yeah,
I'm kind of thinking like off the top of your head, Evan, pop quiz time. What's next Wednesday? Church calendar.
Ash Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that.
It's all right.
That doesn't play that well. People are like, what is he doing? But the point I'm trying to make is necessarily like, I wonder when we decided that the solution is to keep doing all the things that aren't bringing us life, that aren't like, and I get there's a point where it's like, I feel like I have to. But like, obviously the promise of Lent is like, it's not just about fasting. It's about doing less. It's about kind of dying to some things so that you can maybe focus on things that matter and this like preparation towards Easter. I know that's maybe a little bit of like a spiritual juke into that a little bit, but it's hard for me to not think about that in that way of the promise of rest and the promise of this time to spend with people you care about and love. And maybe it's like very John Mark Comer coded or whatever, but I think at some point, I think we've decided that playing dinosaurs with our son is not the way we get ahead and not the thing that matters. And I'm not saying that you're saying that, Irene, but I think that's like, we've decided that, well, the thing I have to do is answer my email. The thing I have to do is buy the flight for my work. And that's, and that is more valuable. But it's interesting because in my brain, I'm like, would I even trust that the AI did it correctly?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing I keep coming back to. Is I feel like I would spend more time double checking that it didn't say something weird to my boss when I told it to respond or
book me leaving town at 2 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but the whole point I'm bringing up, I think, is a little bit of, I think as a culture, I wonder when we decided that the way that we are given life is to get ahead socioeconomically and culturally instead of having deeper relationships with our sons and our daughters and our cousins and our sisters and our brothers and our friends and the community that we're in, because those two things are diametrically opposed at times. That for me to connect with Evan, I have to slow down. I can't rush through getting to know Evan more or getting to know Irene more. I have to set aside things and say, I am fully engaged with you right now, and I won't be pulled away from that.
And in some of the promotional material for OpenClaw, it was like, and if you get this, then your computer can join Moltbook and your AI can communicate with other people's AI. And it's like, why is that a pro that you're including in the advertisement? I mean, it's exactly outsourcing the thing you're talking about.
Do you think we could set up a Slack channel that's just my bot talks to your bot and we just see what happens?
Absolutely.
I think that'd be really good.
You totally do it. But you brought up Lent and Ash Wednesday, and we need to wrap this section.
Yeah.
But I think the same thing is true of Sabbath. It's this countercultural command to rest in Scripture and to make space to essentially delight in your life.
Yeah.
And I think we need that, it becomes more and more countercultural every day, it feels like. And I think that's part of the conversation here. Conversation starter, I still think just something like, when is it safe to offer up our personal information? And when is it not safe?
Right.
I think that's a big part of it, of this conversation. But also, when is the time to rest? Something like that. Because I think the temptation might be to say after all the work is done, but that's not really a biblical model of rest. Yeah. So, I don't know. Could be interesting to discuss.
In the middle of the work.
In the middle of the work. In a way, I think that's right.
Yeah.
All right, final thing this week. Bad Bunny's performance at the Super Bowl halftime show was a Spanish language only ode to his Puerto Rican heritage. Depending on who you listened to, you either heard it called a beautiful tribute to Puerto Rican culture or a disastrous mockery of America. Bad Bunny performed for 13 minutes, playing 5 songs. There were also guest appearances from Lady Gaga and Ricky Martin, which I did not expect. And a couple actually got married in the middle of the performance, which I also did not expect. Irene, what stands out to you about the performance and some of the conversation around it?
I will be on the side of I thought it was really beautiful, and it was like this journey. I think the people watching on TV kind of got a better look at it than probably in the stadium. But you just followed him through the sugarcane fields. And
yeah, could you even see most of that if you're in the stadium?
I bet that was probably, the halftime shows are usually quite a lot of spectacle, but I think that this was really like simplistic, and you followed him through like the sugarcane fields, and then the people dancing and food, and I thought it was just such a beautiful representation of Puerto Rican culture, and yeah, it was just something really lovely to see at a time where there's been a very, very divisive nation, and I think our like the lady, her name is Vicky, who translates, the culture translator for us in Spanish. She said, like, our family doesn't agree with like a lot of Bad Bunny's lyrics, but what it gave was like visibility and to my culture, and I thought that was really special, and I think acknowledging their culture, like Latin culture, at a time where things have been so dehumanizing, it's like a little bit of solidarity. You know what I mean? And I think that it was a beautiful halftime show, and I really loved it. And I think people's response gives me fatigue. Like, can we just enjoy something that is beautiful? Like, do we have to fight? And
it's interesting to me, like the numbers of just like a lot of people watch this, and a trend I noticed when we were doing top 20 is that the Super Bowl halftime show is like always in our top 20. Like it sticks with culture. Like it's, and I think that is actually a change. I actually think that's a recent trend. I think the NFL has put in work to make the Super Bowl halftime show more, kind of more of a show. Like not just like, here's a mini concert by some people you like, and very intentionally choosing artists who they know will, create a cultural moment. Yeah. Right. I've seen a lot of comparisons because there's like Kendrick Lamar last year started his show standing on top of a car, and Bad Bunny stands on top of a car at one point in this. And there's this line that goes with it where Kendrick Lamar has a lyric where he says, "You can't fake the influence." Yeah. And I think that's like pretty significant in those spaces where like Kendrick Lamar does have a lot of influence in our culture, and Bad Bunny also has a lot of influence in American culture, but then also in Latin American and Central American cultures. And obviously Bad Bunny is the biggest male artist in the world. And I think the biggest artist in the world. I would say that Bad Bunny is bigger than Taylor Swift. I'm going to put my foot down and say that.
I think that's true.
Yeah, and maybe not in people.
He is.
Yeah, maybe not in like people who only speak English's life, but like when you look at globally, he is the biggest artist in the world.
But even in the U.S., for
he's
sure,
huge in the U.S. Yeah,
like
a lot of people speak Spanish in the U.S.
A lot of people speak Spanish, and a lot of people who don't are still big fans.
I don't speak any Spanish, and I connect and like a lot of his songs, and it makes sense that he's the biggest artist in the world, even across that language barrier.
Why do you guys think that it is so instinctual to interpret things through the lens of political and cultural war? And do you think we're ever going to stop doing that as a culture, or do you think that's just how it's going to be?
It's because people idolize politics. It's an idol. So I think simply it's an obsession, and it's like, I don't know, sometimes it feels so performative. Like, are you really mad about that, or do you just want to fight?
Yeah. Is it instinctual? I have umbrage with your question.
I think it is now.
Yeah.
I think maybe what you're getting at is I feel like culturally that's been the conditioning.
That would make it not instinctual, Evan.
Well, okay, it depends on
It's
what
a
you mean by
learned
the word.
behavior.
Okay, learned
No,
behavior.
Yeah, I get what you're asking though, but I want to bring that up.
It's I feel like it's the the reaction
Mm-hmm.
that the loudest voices in our culture are ready with.
Yeah.
Whether to call this such a travesty, I can't believe this happened, or this is the modern Messiah for Latin America. Like, I think both of those are extreme overgeneralizations.
Yeah.
But we're so ready to do both.
Yeah.
How do we like take a beat and whether it's instinctual or conditioned, like what
I think it's not spending as much time and attention to the people on the both extremes, but that's pretty hard to do. Like, I don't know how to do that in the middle. I think it's interesting. I was reading Jean Tweng's book. She's kind of a generational. She researches generations, and I had forgotten that. I'm doing this for maybe a resource that might come out in a month and a half or so, but I'd forgotten that she calls Gen Alpha the polars. Because she talks about how like they are growing up in a polarized world. That's almost it's like kind of a new thing. And I bring that up just to say like you're correct that this is kind of the default. Mm-hmm. That even maybe it's not the one that caught on. She also labels alphas as like the other name for them. But I thought that's interesting that in 2023 that was the term that she used when she wrote that book. That's what she was seen as the defining feature.
I think there's a lot to that.
People born in the 2010s, that they are growing up in a world that is incredibly polarized. And it's a little sad that that's the thing that they're going to have to solve. Maybe I think we can help, but it feels like it's one of those things where like, I'm sorry to the people who are 12 right now. This is the world they're growing up in.
So we created this technology and handed it off to you, and we'll pray for you as you try to sort it.
I do think that's part of that. Like, I hope that's part of the discipleship of like, how do we disciple young people to enter into conversations with people who don't speak like them or look like them with empathy and care and love, and not divisiveness or even like disagree with them ideologically. Like, it's not just the language you speak and the way that you look. It's also like who you think should be sitting in the White House and how you think how policy should be enacted, right? Like, how do we enter into those conversations with care and love and honestly like representing Jesus well? Yeah. Because I think in some spaces we're not like it's not happening in a way that I think it should.
I mean, it's, I think it was just last week we were talking about that verse. It's like, hey, everybody, let's be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry. Because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God is it desires or requires.
But what if my anger produces the righteousness? What if mine specifically?
Then you're not human.
I know. That's it feels like some people think that though. That my anger will produce that righteousness.
Yeah. I feel like we should have a section of this podcast where every week we apply that verse to a new thing in culture.
Right.
And be like, what this week needs to hear this?
And maybe we're saying in my own, we should have a section where I apply it in my own relationships, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I'll
ask one more question, and then we should segue to the cultural roundup. How do you guys, and I'll kick this to you, Irene. How do you think the way Christians respond to this will impact our witness to the gospel?
I mean, it's really hard for me to, it makes me emotional. It's difficult when Christians represent themselves in such a hateful way, because that's not who Jesus is. And it's like, I find myself continually embarrassed by Christians shouting these ideas, and I'm like, that's not Jesus. He loves, he's kind, these are his children. We're all image bearers of Christ, and I just find myself constantly frustrated by
the way that Christians are representing themselves, because it's not a reflection of Jesus, and I'm tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
I told you, like I said, yeah. I don't mean to cry.
No,
but
I mean, yeah.
it hurts.
Thank you
Yeah.
for being open
Yeah.
about that. I mean, you know, as you were talking, like Jesus describes himself as being gentle and humble of heart, you know, and we've got the fruit of the Spirit. It's supposed to be love, joy, peace, patience, kindness.
How much
goodness,
of that have you seen
gentleness.
this week?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think part of it for me is I think about my friends who are serving on the mission field, and I think about how often we see people who make a lot of noise, but there's also so many people who are quietly like doing that work of giving people hope and working in spaces. I think that's always the thing that comes up when I think about the cultural conversation around faith, is that it is so frustrating that sometimes people who don't maybe espouse the way of Jesus often get a lot of platform. But that doesn't mean that the way of Jesus is not happening. And that for me, that's always the encouragement. And I kind of have to constantly process that of like, oh, I see someone and it frustrates me, and I'm like, I don't think that's what Jesus would have done. I don't think that's how Jesus would have handled this situation. I don't think Jesus would have been yelling at people or whatever it is. But then I remember there's thousands of churches across America and quiet churches, you know, house churches in places where they can't meet openly, who are like very faithfully serving the Lord, and no one will ever know about them.
The frustrating part is like how many people are being pushed away from Jesus because that's what they believe to be Christians to be. And that's what angers me. Like that's what hurts, is you're doing so much damage with the way that you're speaking on your platform, you know, and I feel it just makes me feel angry and sad.
Yeah.
So I think you're not alone in that feeling, Irene.
Right.
And I imagine that there are people, I imagine there are people listening who are on every side of this conversation. And I don't hear us saying that 100% of everything Bad Bunny did and does is like good / the gospel. That's not the point. But I think what I hear in your concern, Irene, is that for the rising generation who is not sure what they think about faith, when they see Christians behaving in a certain sort of way or speaking in a certain sort of way, it can cause Christianity to seem unattractive.
Especially people who that's their only interaction.
Right.
Because my prayer is that they meet someone who is faithfully walking with the Lord, and that's their representation of Christianity.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always happen, and that's it's not great.
How can someone start that conversation?
What I want to say is that I think it's not Jesus that people are unattracted to in Christianity. It's Christians, you know, or the way that some Christians behave. I think Jesus and his teachings and the way he loves is actually something that most people desire, but it's Christianity that can sometimes be unattractive.
I think a potential conversation starter about some of this could be something like, how easy is it for you to differentiate between who Jesus says he is and what Christians say and do? I think
That's big. Yeah.
there's a lot that could be processed there. And I mean, I feel like that would get into a lot of the layers that we're talking about in this
for
moment.
Sure. It's great.
All right, thanks for tuning in to the Roundtable this week. On your way out, here's a quick survey of some of the rest of the cultural landscape. Number 1, James Van Der Beek passed away this week after battling cancer. We talked a little bit about that earlier in the episode. Best known for his role as Dawson Leery on Dawson's Creek. James helped define the the late 90s teen drama genre. And his legacy continues through streaming nostalgia and even one of the internet's earliest viral reaction GIFs.
I still use that one. Jane crying, Dawson crying.
Yeah. Number 2, this blew my mind. At a congressional hearing last week, the self-driving car company Waymo admitted that sometimes its cars are being remote controlled by workers based in the Philippines. So you think AI is driving you. Turns out it's someone in Manila.
Do you think that's the AI personal assistant thing from earlier too? Like, do you think it's just
OpenClaw?
someone is like accessing your computer and just doing
Yeah,
it?
just some guy. Yeah, pretending to be the AI. Could be.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Number 3, an early star of the 2026 Winter Olympics seems to be American figure skater Alyssa Liu, who won gold and then promptly broke her medal. Number 4, according to GQ, what it means to be a cool man now involves having bangs. CJ, your thoughts?
I don't think this is an option for either of us, Evan. I hate to break this to you.
Rip.
We could try.
The long popular long on top, short on sides look has been traded in for this new vibe. Congratulations to mankind. Number 5, this weekend, the long-awaited R-rated adaptation of Gothic romance novel Wuthering Heights will hit 3,600 screens and is projected to make $50 million on its opening weekend.
Would you say that's a lot of screens or a few screens?
I
appreciate the number of screens if we have a context for how many that is.
I don't really...
Seems like a lot.
I think it's a decent amount.
Yeah, like a normal movie release.
It's like a normal. Whatever. I'm sure it's going to be a train wreck. We'll have links in the show notes if you want to explore these further. For now, goodbye from all of us, and we'll see you back here next week. Thanks so much for watching. This podcast is made possible because of our generous donor community, which is called The Table. To help us support more parents and other caring adults through culture translation, we'd love to invite you to check out The Table by clicking right here. Also, if you've been impacted by what we do, would you consider letting us know with a like, comment, and or subscription, as well as sharing this episode with someone who you think could benefit? Thanks for caring about having intentional conversations with the next generation.